Hello everyone, my name is Campbell. I teach euphonium at the University of Tampa, and today we're going to go through the G scale. Now, I play a 4-valve euphonium, so I'm going to be playing with 4-valve euphonium fingerings. However, I will provide you the 3-valve euphonium fingerings as well. And also, my 4th valve is on the side, so if you have one that's with the pinky, it works the same way. The fingerings for this scale will be the same, so don't worry about that. So let's get into it. First, we're going to start on the note G, since it is the G scale. 1 and 2. For G, second valve for A natural. Then we get our first variant between the two different instruments. If you're playing a 3-valve instrument, you're going to use 1, 2, 3. And if you're playing a 4-valve instrument, you're going to use 2 and 4 for the B natural. Then we move to C. If you're playing a 3-valve instrument, you're going to go to 1 and 3. And if you're playing a 4-valve instrument, you're going to move to 4th valve for the C. Then we move to D, 1 and 2. Then E natural, 2nd valve. F sharp, 2 and 3. And then finish on G, 1 and 2, just like its lower octave. So I've got a metronome set to 60. I'm going to give it 4 beats, and then I'm going to start playing the scale up in whole notes. Now my 4-valve with the pinky people, I know that pinky plus 2, it can get a little bit awkward, but I promise you it's worth doing it because the intonation is so much better than 1, 2, 3. But now that we've gone up, let's try to go backwards. Let's go down. So let's start on 1 and 2 G, 2 and 3 F sharp, E natural, 2nd valve, 1 and 2 D, 4th valve or 1 and 3 C, 2 and 4 or 1, 2, 3 B natural, A natural, 2nd valve, and G, 1 and 2. So just like we did before, let's play it in whole notes coming down. Great, so now that we can play up and down the scale, let's go ahead and learn our arpeggio for the scale as well. The arpeggio outlines the major chord that goes along with this key signature, and since we can't play multiple notes at a time like a guitar or a piano, we're going to play it one at a time and move up and down just like we did with our scale. So the G arpeggio starts on G at the bottom of the scale, then moves to the 3rd note, which is B natural, which is 2 and 4 for 4-valve people, or 1, 2, 3 for my 3-valve people. 5th note of the scale, which is D, 1 and 2. And then we bump up to G, which is also 1 and 2, and the octave of the scale. Let's go ahead and play the arpeggio in whole notes up, just like we did the scale earlier. Great, now that we can do that up, let's work on going down. It starts on G, just like what we left off on. Then goes down to D, 1 and 2. B natural, 1, 2, 3 for my 3-valve people. 2 and 4 for my 4-valve people. And then G. Let's try playing that in whole notes as well, coming down. So now that we can play both the scale up and down and the arpeggio up and down, we're going to want to work on doing our all-state pattern. Now the all-state pattern consists of us playing the scale going up and articulating, slurring the scale coming down, playing the arpeggio going up and articulating, and then slurring the arpeggio down. And we're going to start with a rhythm of a half note for the G, then moving to quarter notes for the rest of the scale until we get to G up top. Then we're going to play a half note again. As you slur down, you're going to play quarter notes again, half note, then quarter notes up the arpeggio until you get to the G again. And then when you come down, slurring down through the arpeggio, quarter notes, then landing on a G half note. Essentially, every time you play a G, you're going to play a half note. Everything else gets quarter notes. And also, when you come down, you don't have to repeat the G when you go into the arpeggio. You've kind of landed on it. We assume you're already there, so you're going to move straight to the B natural. So before we dig into playing it, let's go for singing it first with the metronome, the way we're supposed to do it, to kind of practice that, get our head wrapped around it. Because I guarantee you, if you can talk and sing your way through the scale, playing it's going to be way easier. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G, B, D, G, D, B, G. If you can't sing in the same range as your euphonium, feel free to go up an octave. But anyway, now that we've got it, we can sing it, we got that going, let's go ahead and try to play it metronome 160, half note and quarter notes. Let's give it a shot. Now once you're really solid with that, let's go ahead and push it a little bit more and let's move to 80, but play it the same way, just a little bit faster. Once you have that, let's try it at 100. And then as fast as I'm going to go in this pattern, we're going to try it at 120. But before we do that, my 4-valve people. So with the arpeggio, you've been going 1 and 2, 2 and 4, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Now that's great and it's going to sound great in tune, and if it's comfortable to you, don't feel like you have to change it. But my suggestion is to actually use the same arpeggio fingering that the 3-valve people are using. You're going to sacrifice a little bit of intonation, but you're going to get a lot of speed, because that 1, 2, 3, all you have to do is slap down that 3rd finger for that B natural. So you get that G, B, D, G. Right? That's all you get. So it's really easy to kind of do that, especially as you want to get the scale faster and faster. Just a nice little flick of that is really easy, as opposed to having to swap valves and incorporate the pinky if you've got that. So that's my suggestion. Now, if the 4 and 2 is comfortable to you, don't feel like you have to change it. This is just my suggestion to make the scale a little bit faster. But anyway, let's go ahead and try to play it, same pattern at 120. Now, most of the time the all-state pattern is written to be quarter and eighth notes. And even though we've been doing it half and quarters, because we hit that 120, we're actually kind of playing it with quarter and eighth notes. We just aren't intending to, or that's not what we think we're doing. But if I take that 120, that's the same 120 we were just doing, And if I cut it in half, I get 60. And so that 120 that we were just playing half note and quarters is actually quarter eighth notes at 60. So we're gonna practice that. But first, let's sing through it to wrap our heads around just thinking about the scale rhythmically a little bit different. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G, B, D, G, D, B, G. Great, so once you get that and you can sing through it, our heads are kind of around it, we know what we're doing, let's go ahead and try to play it quarter eighth notes at 60. So that's about it for the G scale. Start it slow and practice to get it a little bit faster. Good luck memorizing all of your scales, and thank you for practicing with me.